ahaha. Hey, I wanted to do a short little video because I get a lot of requests about stuff like this. So a lot of people, well, some people know, some people don't know that I make plushies for a living. Or at least sort of semi for a living. I do a lot of conventions and stuff, and people ask me all the time how I make plushies. So I wanted to show my friend how I do this particular one. Right now I'm making little Tynamo plushies, and I just wanted to record a video for you guys to kind of show you what I do a little bit. I don't normally do videos, so this is gonna be kind of like by the seat of my pants kind of thing. I've never done this for like, but I want to do something on my YouTube. I decided that I want to do like something with it besides just post the occasional announcement and stuff. It's going to get a little weird because the light on my sewing machine right now is out. I need to order light bulbs, so I'm doing this by the light of my room at the moment, and it's going to get very loud, and I apologize. So that's just gonna be a thing. I'm sorry if this is odd, but I wanted to show people. People ask me all the time, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I don't know how to, like, explain it. I just kind of do it. So I just wanted to show you. I was already kind of working, and it's gonna be a little weird because I have to, like, maneuver my camera. Boop. There's my sewing machine. I'm actually gonna put you guys, because this is gonna be a little odd. Hold on. That's my hand. You see my hand? My beautiful hand. There. That's my sewing machine. Boop. On me. I'm in the middle of one right now. I just kind of like started this on a whim, just like in the middle of things. So I know it's a little odd. But that's my sewing machine. I use a Tynamo Sewist. It is a lovely machine. Like I said, the light bulb's out right now, but it totally still works. Yeah. So I'm gonna try this. Let me see if I can angle this camera in a way that y'all can see me. This is a very flexible camera. Oh, that's a good angle. I'm gonna see if that sits there because the sewing machine moves my desk a little bit. It's not a very stable desk. It's a little bit older. So let me see if I can't just get something here. Make sure it stays. Alright. There. So now you can kind of see where I'm going to be sewing. And like I said, I'm working on Tynamo right now, and I've already appliqued all the pieces together, so they've got all of their design work on them. So what this is these are all hand-cut pieces. So I cut out the shape of the fabric, and then I cut out the shape of the pieces, and then I sew them on the machine onto in the design and shape that I want. And the Tynamo are a cute little pattern, and I wanted to show my friend how these were made because she was here when we cut them out, but she never got to see them being put together. But I wanted to show you. So what I did is I took this is the mouthpiece, and I put it and I sewed it directly to that side, just like that. And so now what we're gonna do, let me get that in the shot of how I'm gonna do this. So there's one half, and then here's the other half. And we're just gonna put them together in a way that they're gonna line up nice, because I like the eyes to be even as I can. But you can really tell by going by the tail and how the tail matches up, because they're all put together to align as well as possible. It's not always going to be perfect because you're working with handmade. I don't know how the camera is going to move for this, so I apologize, and I'll fix it in a minute if it moves or anything. gonna fold, trim, turn, and stuff it later. Boop. Make sure there's no missed. See, I missed like a little tiny bit of a seam right there. Got a little tiny hole. So those connective seams. When you have 3 pieces of fabric joining at one spot, I'm gonna make sure you go over that another time if you think that you might have missed it, or if you're not comfortable with how close it is, or something like that. But I always like to go over, make sure that all the connective seams are fine and that nothing got mixed over if the fabric slid or anything like that. Some people ask me, you know, because I'm sure some of you who have sewn before will notice how little I use pins. I do not pin a whole lot. I know that it's like the good thing to do if you don't want things to move too much, but I despise pinning. I despise pinning. I pin certain things, and there's other things that I don't feel like I really need to. But I've got 3 more of these to do real quick. And I'll just sit here and I'll do this for hours. But this is just to kind of give you guys like a short idea of how I work. Since some people are like, I don't know how you do that. How do you have the patience and blah blah. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It's fun for me. It's cool watching all these little details come together and make something. I like it. I like it a lot. That's just how I do it. I just hold the fabric down. And my great-grandmother was the one that actually taught me to sew like this. She didn't use pins very much either. She used them on clothing. But when we were doing a artsy project or something that didn't need quite as much exact precision. So my great-grandmother taught me how to do this. Of course, she worked in a upholstery factory for a long time, you know, all the way back in the, oh gosh, well, she's rounding on 95 right now, and it's 2017, so a very long time ago she worked in the upholstery factories and stuff. Talk about when she was she changed jobs when she was a secretary, and that's back when they, you know, high heels were still a part of women's uniforms and stuff like that. It was very fascinating stuff listening to my grandmother. I'm gonna put this one together, and I'll just show you guys how I put this thing, finish it. Alright, so I guess what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pull back from this sewing. Oops, no, wait, I want to see, that slid for me just a little bit right there. Oh, no, come on, don't tangle. There we go. Perfect. So what I would like to do then is go ahead and show you guys how I finish these things, because these things are very easy to do. And a couple people are interested in getting them, so I'm just gonna take my little. Oh, I've got 3 done now. Yay! I don't like doing these things so much. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera down straight. And obviously I got a long tail on these guys because I like that plenty of space. When I make the designs on the bodies, that yellow line, sometimes you end up with a body that's a little bigger, sometimes you end up with one that's a little smaller, so you always want to make sure you have more rather than less. So I'm just going to trim them up. I trim all of my plushies. I never just turn them. And see, he's got a little hole on his tail right here, but it's under 2 layers, so that's fine. It'll still be completely sewn up. But if I turn him and I feel like I need to turn him right back side out and sew that up, I will. But it should be fine because the yellow will cover it. I get a little bit picky. Because I like these seams to be nice and pushed out. Make the plush extra, give the shape as much definition as possible. And another thing I'm going to mention, just while I'm sitting here trimming, some people ask me what patterns I use. And I won't lie to you guys, I don't know how to read a pattern. I tried doing a pattern once. I wanted to make my daughter a handmade pony plushie because she's really into My Little Pony. And you know, there's plenty of free patterns online for those, and I tried one and it turned into a freaking pony. Like, it did not look good at all. I was like, holy crap. I don't know if it's just because I'm bad at doing the gusset, which is the when you have a standing plush, the gusset is the part that like goes inside and it pulls the legs together so that it can stand, the plushie can stand, and I'm just not too good at doing that shape. Like, I can do like a square little body with some chibi paws, but they're usually like a laying down style type thing. The more, I will admit, the more intricate shapes for a particular plush sometimes escape me with how they work. I really should take a workshop or something, because I love doing this, but I haven't really, there's certain things that I've not been able to wrap my head around yet. I really like making some complicated patterns for myself at times. Okay, so I trimmed them up, and now we're just going to turn them right side in. Ah! My wrist brace. Gotta hold them. I'm going to check this tail, because it was just on the tip of the tail. Oh, he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's totally fine. You just want to push out all the seams so they're nice and pushed out. Make sure there's no holes. Go over it all. See how nice that connecting seam turned out? Ah! I'm missing my camera. How nice it is, how neat and crisp on the top. These are kind of hard to get crisp, like when you do a connecting seam. They're just tricky. They're just tricky to see. I gotta take my wrist brace out for this part. So I gotta get some polyfill. Some lovely, lovely polyfill. I use Fairfield brand exclusively. It's hypoallergenic and machine washable. All of my plushies are entirely machine washable. That's something that I really like. I know a lot of people like to paint on their plushies. I don't like paint. I know a lot of people, they have wiring or armatures, and I mean, those are great. They can help. They can steady and stabilize. I don't know. I just don't like things inside of my plushies. That's just me. I mean, if that's what you're into, that's what you like, that is totally fine. You go and do that, but I'm picky about myself, I guess. I don't know. But everything is machine washable. I like that. Because I have a daughter, and some of these, I know kids like them on occasion. Sometimes they get, oh, I would like a pillow for my daughter, and blah. So I know how important it is for something to be able to be washed appropriately. And so you'll have dogs and stuff. I have one person who thought that my pillows were dog beds. So I was like, oh, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, it could be a dog bed, I don't care, you know, if that's what you want it for. Or dog toys. Chewing on the little Tynamo fish thingy. Just make sure he's good and stuffed. And boop, boop, boop. I know there's no music on this one, but this is just kind of an experiment video to see if people like to hear me ramble while I sew. I mean, people do it because I sew streaming sometimes. I stream sew, or I'll do live streams. Whoops. Hold on, I lost my needle. It just disappeared. Come back, needle! I require you! It just got stuck. Uh-oh. Where did it go? Okay, I guess I'll have to find it later. We have a thingy to do. Oh, the white is in there. Okay. Okay, so we have our Tynamo, and the thing we really gotta do is first is close up the hole. Now, oh my goodness. Everything's happening at once today. Okay, so you got your thread. You got a hand sewing needle. Hand needle, thread. And I like to close, I always make sure my hole is on the bottom of the plushie. And I use a ladder stitch on just about everything. I don't even hardly remember how to do together the standard back stitch anymore. It's been a long time since I've had to not use a sewing machine to put things together. But I use a ladder stitch for all this. Sometime, if I remember to do this before I completely start a project, I'll record a project from start to finish. Or at least in sections, because it can take, 4 to 5 hours, depending on what I'm making. From start to finish a project. And just pull that seam together nice and almost not quite as neat as the sewing machine, obviously, but I do try my best. Sometimes I get one side that's just a little bit longer than the other somehow, and it's gonna pucker up a little bit, but usually you can manage it. Okay. Just go a little bit past the hole, make sure it's good and tight. And you just close that sucker up. Tie it off 1, 2. I have a trick to this. This is a personal taste thing. I do 3 knots. If it doesn't get caught on the tail every time. To the loop. There. Boop. Okay. And And Tynamo has little fins. So I have already cut out my fins. Sorry, I got something going on. Apparently. This morning has been busy as anything, I swear. It's nuts. So I've already cut out my fins. Let me get that out. This is all 5 sets for all of the ones out here, but I'm just going to do one. Now, if you have fabric that's different on both sides, you're going to want to make sure that you cut out your pieces the side that you want them, or a matching side at the very least. I use Blizzard fleece for these pieces specifically, so I don't have to worry about it. But with anti-pill fleece, there's a pilly side and a flat side. But I prefer Blizzard fleece myself. But I use both because there is a variety of colors. So I'm going to do, it's going to be popped up on one side. So I do want to make sure I get the side I want. I'm going to go ahead and thread my thread through here to get my first bits. I got thread bits floating around all over the place because it's a workstation. It's a sewing desk. Of course there's thread everywhere. There's thread bits all over the place. Okay, and what I do is I just go in straight to the top of his head and I follow his top seam on top of his head. And this is going to get a little tricky because his little body is very slippery. It keeps rolling away from me. Stop rolling away, buddy. You need a fin. You need to be completed. You are not well yet. So it just, and I'll go stitch all the way down his back. It's a little bit easier when I can hold him in, like with my knees or something, and sit in my chair. But I wanted to show you guys what I do. Because I do this a lot. Whoops, I lost my thread. I didn't have it long enough. There we go. See, the thing about this part is I always go in once in a while after every 10 or 12 stitches or so, and I see how close it is, and I'll pull it taut so that the stitching doesn't show too much. You don't want to pull too hard, you don't want to strain it. You don't want to make the thread to a point where it's strained, but you do want it to be close. You want it to be you don't want it too loose. It'll look not very nice sometimes. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you need a little bit of slack in your thread, or it just happens, like the knot loosens or the thread loosens a little bit over time. You get a little bit of thread showing when you pull on something a little bit, and that's fine. I mean, it doesn't really mark the quality at all. Not in my opinion. I mean, you're working with handmade. It's not going to be perfect every time. That's just unrealistic. See, like the thread can show a little bit down here, but I pull it a little bit, but not too tight. So it'll show a little bit there. Kind of what you can do a little bit. If you don't like it in a certain spot, just pull that loose end and then you just tuck it. The Tynamos are a fairly simple project too that I do. If I worked full speed on one, I think just like by itself, which you never really want to do. You always want to work in large batches. It's the best use of your time. It's the fastest way to do things. I usually make anywhere from 30 to 40 plushies at once. That's how I like to do it. But these ones I've actually made from start to finish in, I think, 30 to 45 minutes. see, and see, we now see all of that thread. Oh crap, it's stuck in the yellow. See, when you go through a second layer of fabric, the thread likes to get stuck in it. So, it's not quite as tight as I'd like it. Come on. I'm gonna go in and just manually bring down the looseness. There we go. There. See, and that, it's not so tight that it's strained. There's a little bit of looseness still that I'd like to get rid of. Come on. No, it's getting almost too tight to work on. There. I'll go with that. Yeah, that's pretty good. And this part I hate because like the tail always gets caught up in the thread. 1, 2, 3. And I'll go in one more time. There. Okay, I think I actually need a little bit bigger piece for the next one, so I'm gonna get a new piece of white thread. So put out for my sewing machine for now, because my white thread is loaded into the sewing machine. For those curious about the type of thread, I use Gutermann brands exclusively. It's an excellent brand. And a lot of people like to, why don't you just use the old Cloaks and Clark? And I've had trouble with Cloaks and Clark snapping, and I don't like that. I do a lot of hand sewing bits, and the Gutermann is made for both hand and machine sewing. They actually have a heavy duty brand that I actually would like to try sometime, and they have nylons, which are great. They're like super, super strong. I love it. Okay, so that goes right in there. And see, I want it to match my top fin, so I want to make sure that I sew it the right way. So this is going to go in, I believe, this side, I think. If not, I can always just trade it out. Boop. Yeah, this side. So there's a direction that my fin goes, like that. See, the other side has got the actual seam look underneath it. You can't help it with hand sewing. You're gonna have a my needle magnetized to my scissors. But yeah, so I just want to make sure that I get the right side. Perfect. Because I want my fins to match, to be matchy-matchy, so there will be a front and a back side. Stop rolling away. You need to be completed, fishy baby. Little floating electric fish thingy. Seriously, Tynamo is such a weird Pokemon. Such a strange Pokemon. Boop. This thing does not want to maneuver with me very well. This is why I sometimes have a hard time doing sewing streams and on-camera sewing, because there's positions that are easier to sew in that you cannot look at very easily with the camera. Like usually I'd be holding him like this in between my knees, and then I would be able to like, actually that might be, let me pull him up. There we go. I mean, you can't see it as well though, so I was just meh, but this is how I would normally. just requires a little bit more than 2 hands. And I can check it as I go. Boop, boop, boop. And I'm almost done, and we're almost done, and we're almost done. So yeah, I always like turn it away because I'm trying to focus on little tiny spots and details. This doesn't always work for camera stuff. But that's okay, so long as y'all understand and whatnot. We're gonna try to... And this I'm always a little bit picky about because Tynamo's got this like strange tail fish thing going on. So then, here's the point where I start bringing the 2 tail pieces together. See? Ow. Just go ahead and stab myself. And I could do this all day sometimes. And I probably shouldn't. It's bad for your wrist. Bad for my wrist, at least. Some people can find sewing extremely therapeutic, but I've been doing it so much, and it's been so repetitive. I get, especially at the amount that I do, it's not exactly always healthy for me. I try, though. I get a massage therapy and stuff to work out some of my arm issues. Just when you sew and draw as much as I do, there's things. Now, see, this is a little tricky because the fabric will slide on the thread. So I always try to make sure it's as close to each other as possible. And you just want to kind of, well, you don't want to pull the thread too tight because then you'll make the fabric pucker. You just want it to kind of be naturally the length that the fabric is cut to. So I pull my string tight, and then I let the fabric thread. Thread. String is different. I don't want it enough to like it pulls apart, but I want it enough that it doesn't slide. So there we go. Just want it to be natural. And then just tie it off. Aha, now. This tail piece really always does when you get caught in a knot, so I always have to be careful because sometimes it'll get really stuck if I pull the thread too tight over top of it and make it crunch up and everything. There. 1, 2, 3. See? He wants to escape, and I won't let him. He wants to hide. Boop. Okay, there we go. All done. And that's what my Tynamo plushies look like. So this one's got a really long tail. This one's got a longer tail than I'm used to. I think I might have foreshortened the body pattern a little bit, but I kind of like it. It's got the waves and the fins, and the pattern is pretty even on both sides. A little puckered in areas, but when you do a design like that, it always tends to get a little bit odd. But these are to scale to the Pokedex, or they should be. At the very least, that's how I originally intended for them to be. Alright, that's all I really wanted to show you guys. I might do another one if you like these. I've got plenty of Pokemon to put together. I've got plenty of plushies to put together in general. I got a couple of other things I have to do. So it'll mostly be hand sewing after this. But if you want to watch me, I might do I'm probably going to do at least one live stream. But if you want more videos, let me know. Thank you. Bye-bye.